Recording in progress.
Good evening. It is now 7 p.m. I'd like to call this zoning public hearing to order, February 27th.
Brenham.
Here.
Pugh.
Here.
McBride.
Here.
Livingston.
Here.
Teratio.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is additions, deletions to the agenda. Director Price?
There are no additions or deletions to the agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir. You're recognized.
I'd like to move to delete item 5A2 and defer that to the April zoning public hearing. The reason for that, just very briefly, is that this is a proposed apartment complex and retail outparcel development. The county utilities department is in the midst of completing a sewer capacity survey and doing some modeling to determine if the capacity is there for the proposed project. And so we need a little bit more time on that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to defer item 5A2 until, did you say April? Did I get that right? The April public hearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam.
Brenham.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
A motion and a second to adopt the agenda. Madam Clerk?
Pugh.
Yes.
Brenham.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Our first item, 5A1, is case number 22-003MA. Jatin Patel, RU Rule to NC Neighborhood Commercial, 32.21 acres on Killian Road, TMS number R14600-03-05. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-4. Staff recommendation is disapproval. This public hearing is now open.
signed up to speak.
Thank you. This public hearing is now closed.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. So before I make my motion, just want to just go on the record to restate something from our previous meetings. Myself, along with several of our staff members, visited this part of my district, and there's some major concerns about runoff, water, as well as drainage and stormwater drainage. We have several roads that are being flooded just at the site of rain. And so between our staff, as well as with the request that's been made to SCDOT to look at those types of items in a particular, we've narrowed it down to a particular area. This property does sit in that area. And given the length of time that we anticipate that it's going to take for this study to be completed, and as well as in conjunction with our land development code, as we know that it's getting ready to go in effect shortly, I am going to move to deny this item.
We have a motion for denial.
Second.
A second. All right. Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio, Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion to deny approved.
Thank you. The next item is 5A2, which is case number 23-026MA. Tony Lawton, RU Rural to GC General Commercial, 113 Seas Road, 1.14 acres, TMS number R04003-02-17. Planning Commission recommends approval. Staff recommends disapproval. This public hearing is now open.
Madam Chair, we have 3 people signed up against this project. I will call your name. When I call your name, please come to the podium, state your name and your address. You'll be given 2 minutes. Once you hear the sound, we ask that you conclude your remarks. First, we have Brian Long. Long, could you state your name and your address for the record? And you have 2 minutes to speak, sir.
Sure, thank you. My name's Brian Long. Address is Shady Grove Road, 1525 Shady Grove Road, Irmo, South Carolina. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the council. I am a longtime Richland County resident. I'm a wildlife biologist for the Department of Natural Resources Heritage Trust Archaeology Program. I have visited over 600 cemeteries in South Carolina over the last 2 years. I have refound approximately 10 in Richland County that were not documented when the Jacora Foundation did their countywide assessment in 2014, including the one that spills over onto the property in question that y'all are talking about rezoning tonight. The last known burial in this cemetery was over 100 years ago. I suspect most of the burials are older than that. I visited the site today, and I saw where many burials and stones have been flagged, pin flagged. But what I witnessed and photographed today was more burials on that line and across that line that had not been flagged. It's possible or likely that there are enslaved people buried in this cemetery, and as well as freed enslaved people. It's also possible that this is the site of what the St. Paul's AME Church called the Bush Arbor site, which was a very old church. I'd ask the council to continue to defer this project until more work is done to determine the size of the cemetery. It appears to me that only a visual survey has been done, and I don't think that's enough, personally. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Next, Madam Chair, we have Stuart Wright. Mr. Wright, please state your name and your address. Yes, sir. State your name and your address for the record, and you have 2 minutes to speak.
Stuart Wright, 309 Ridge Run Trail, Irmo, South Carolina, 29063. Good evening, everyone. My name is Stuart Wright. I'm the trustee pro tem at St. Paul AME Church, formerly known as the Bush Harbor. We were contacted by the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources pertaining to the newly found cemetery off of Broad River Road near the property that's in question. The church was not contacted by the property owner, the developer, the archaeologist, or even the county. Now, according to Code of Laws, Section 6-1-35, Preservation and Protection of Cemeteries, as used in this section, the term preserve and protect means to keep safe from destruction and may include placement of signs, markings, fences, or other appropriate features as to identify the site as the cemetery and to aid in the preservation and protection of that abandoned cemetery. Many of these grave sites are over 100 years old and are therefore considered an archaeologist resource. DNR told us that there may be upwards to 80 graves at this site, which ties directly to our church. The cemetery is a resting place for many members of the old community of Irmo. We ask that the county does its due diligence in locating these graves. We also ask that this zoning be deferred until the county has concluded their investigation. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Madam Chair, next we have Ms. Kim Murphy. Ms. Murphy, please state your name and your address for the record. You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Ms. Murphy, if you would pass that information to the clerk, please. Thank you.
I'm one short, so skip Councilman. Thank you. It would be helpful if they could have it in their hands when I speak, because I am addressing them, if that's okay. Thank you. Oh, you got someone? Okay. Thank you. My name is Kim Murphy, 154 Old Laurel Lane in Chapin. I'm opposed to this rezoning for 2 reasons, at least at the moment. I don't feel that adequate due diligence has been done once the burial grounds were brought to the county's attention, or that the importance of protecting and preserving them is recognized at the moment. And I want to forewarn you that if the county is going to require the dirt road to be paved, there is a fear that the county will use the penny taxpayer dollars, to do so, which by doing so will open up land on the other side of the Irmo Railroad tracks for development. My handout shows 2 things. This is a single-lane dirt road off a very busy section of Broad River Road, right at the beginning of the penny tax upgrades to Broad River Road. And I think the county would most certainly require it to be paved for this project. And again, by doing so, the other sheet will show that you will be giving access to a developer on the other side of the railroad tracks and several large parcels through the Friars Gate subdivision in Irmo, and I've circled the road curb cuts there. This road was proposed to be paved with taxpayer dollars in 2000, and land was condemned for the right-of-way against the owner's desires. and funds were not available. They were moved to the Broad River Wastewater Treatment Facility Road. And then in 2022, the rezoning was proposed again, and it was denied because it was on a dirt road. So I'm hopeful you'll give some consideration to that in this process tonight, and if it comes in front of you, to approve it for paving with taxpayer dollars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Madam Chair, that concludes everyone that signed up to speak.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Recognize.
I'm not sure if it was inadvertent, but the applicant, Tony Lawton, is here, and it looks like he would like to speak.
Mr. Tony Lawton, please state your name and your address for the record, sir. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Tony Lawton, 158 Bell Valley Lane, Columbia, South Carolina, 29223. Madam Chair, members of County Council, want to say thank you for this opportunity. This project, as a result, we've been going back and forth for about 2 years. 2 years ago, it was the county who opted to look at changing the zoning from RU to GC. This property is contiguous to GC areas already. In no way, shape, form, or fashion are we trying to be disrespectful to the graves. I think we've done everything that the county has asked of us to do as it relates to identifying what graves that may be on the site. We're even willing to, again, tell us what it is. What we're looking at right now is, can we get the zoning change? If there's a buffer, if it's moving, depths, et cetera, we're willing to do just that. So I just wanted everyone to know that we do respect the situation, that there are some graves there. When the county said something to us about it, we moved forward to engage the foundation to go out and identify it, to see whether or not there were some graves. I'm receiving phone calls once, twice a week as it relate to this piece of property for sale, as it relate to future development.
Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment, sir. Madam Chair, that concludes everyone that signed up to speak.
Thank you. Mr. Branham, you're,
Thank you. Is the public hearing closed on this matter?
well, yes, it was actually closed before, but yes, it is now
Okay.
closed again.
All right. Thank you. I've definitely spent several months reviewing this application. The property is located in an interesting spot. It's right on the border with the town of Irmo, and it's kind of in a triangular wedge area, pinched between the railroad tracks and Broad River Road. As was referenced earlier, a lot of the surrounding tracts of land have commercial activity taking place on them, and most of them are actually zoned for that commercial activity. And so it generally fits in with the surrounding areas and the uses of the property. It's definitely not ideal that the property is located on a dirt road as it is right now. Having said that, I've spoken with county staff. To my knowledge, there's no intention to pave that road, which was apparently of some concern to some of the people that are here today. We unquestionably want to be careful to respect the grave sites that seem to be located along the southern boundary of this piece of property. Most of the cemetery that has been identified is on a different piece of property, a neighboring piece of property. Maybe 8/10 of an acre of a cemetery is on the neighboring piece, and then about a total of maybe 1/10 of an acre along the southern boundary of this property seems to have grave sites. So we did ask the applicant to commission a report, and we did receive a memo from, I believe their archaeologist, a PhD with the Chicora Foundation, who does activity regularly. And they did go out and identify as many as 16 grave sites along that southern boundary. So we are all in agreement when it comes to the planning and development service as well as the applicant, that we need to protect the 20 feet along that southern boundary where the grave sites are located. And beyond that, the state law, as I understand it, would require an additional 25-foot buffer to extend further north into this property. Again, as was indicated by the applicant, I hear the intention of both staff and the applicant to continue to respect those grave sites in the event that additional grave sites are located during the development process. I'm sure that staff will work to protect and respect those. This memo that has been received is received to the county staff. They have made it part of the county record, and they have also notated the boundaries of this cemetery in the county records so that it can be protected in perpetuity. So for all of those reasons, I'm moving to approve this application.
We have a motion for approval and a second. Discussion?
Second.
Or third.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, take the roll, please.
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. We are now at item number 6, adjournment.
Adjourn.
A motion to adjourn in a second. Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes, sorry.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.